Hey everyone! Welcome to Podcast and Chill. I'm Leo, you're always up for a laugh guy.
And I'm Gwen, here to bring a dash of logic and reason to Leo's. Well, let's call them enthusiastic's ideas.
Hey, every show needs a little humor, right? And who better to bring it than me?
All right. And together we bring you a mix of topics, from the thought-provoking to the downright hilarious.
Stay tuned and let's podcast and chill together. So, today we're diving deep into the topic of public transport. Gwen, I bet you're the type to always arrive 10 minutes early for the bus, aren't you?
That's correct. Being punctual allows for any unforeseen delays. It's logical.
And I'm the guy running behind the bus, waving it down. But hey, I always say if you miss one bus, there's always another. Eventually.
Well, not always, Leo. That's why schedules exist. But let's focus on the topic at hand. Public transport is essential for many people. It's economical, environmentally friendly, and often very efficient.
True. And it's also a place where you can witness some of life's most amusing moments. Like the time I saw a man board the bus with a parrot on his shoulder. Not something you see every day.
Interesting. But on a more practical note, when using public transport, it's essential to be aware of the schedules, routes, and any changes that might occur.
Absolutely. And it's also good to have a backup plan. Like knowing the number of a good taxi service in case you end up chatting with a friend and miss the last train. Not that I speak from experience or anything.
Leo, always the adventurer. For our listeners, I'd recommend downloading a public transport app. It's a great way to keep track of times and routes.
Oh, and maybe an app with some fun games too, to pass the time during those longer rides.
Or perhaps an educational app to improve your English skills.
That works too. Always thinking ahead, Gwen. Also, if you're in a new city, don't hesitate to ask locals for advice. They usually know the best routes. And who knows, you might make a new friend.
That's a valuable tip. Building connections and improving language skills go hand in hand.
Speaking of hands, always hold on to the handrails. One sudden stop and you might find yourself in someone's lap.
Safety first, always. And for those trying to be eco-friendly, many cities now offer bike-sharing schemes as a part of public transport. It's a great way to stay fit and explore.
And if you're like me, it's also a chance to show off your fancy bike bell. Ding ding!
Always the entertainer. Well, listeners, we hope our chat provided both information and entertainment. Public transport is more than just a way to get from point A to B. It's an experience, a slice of the city's life.
And sometimes it's a comedy show, especially if I'm around. We'll be back with more topics, more laughs, and more English lessons.
Punctual. Being on time and not late. Examples: Sarah is always punctual for meetings. She never keeps anyone waiting. Unforeseen. Not expected or predicted. Example: due to unforeseen circumstances, the event was canceled. Economical. Providing good value or service in relation to the amount of money, time, or effort spent. Example: buying groceries in bulk is more economical than buying single items. Adventurer. A person who enjoys or seeks adventure. Example: as an adventurer, Mike traveled to many exotic places around the world. Eco-friendly. Not harmful to the environment. Example: reusable water bottles are eco-friendly because they reduce waste.
I hope you found the repeated listening to be beneficial. Let's get started with some discussion questions on the subject.
According to the conversation, how does Leo often feel about catching the bus? Leo often finds himself running behind the bus, trying to wave it down. He has a more relaxed attitude, saying if you miss one bus, another will come eventually.
Gwen mentioned a suggestion for people who use public transport frequently. What was it? Gwen recommended downloading a public transport app. It helps keep track of times and routes, making it easier for travelers to plan their journeys.
Back to the topic. I want to go a step further by discussing the advantages and disadvantages of public transport. What do you think, Leo?
Let's start on a positive note. Advantage number 1. Public transport is environmentally friendly.
And fewer cars mean reduced carbon emissions.
Totally. And advantage number 2, it's cost-effective. Think of all the money you save from not buying gas, insurance, and those fuzzy dice for the rearview mirror.
True, Leo. The third advantage is safety. Statistically, traveling by public transport is safer than driving a personal car.
Oh, and let's not forget advantage number 4, increased free time. Instead of focusing on the road, you can read, daydream, or even count how many people are wearing blue shoes. It's a fun game.
I'll take your word for it, Leo. And the fifth advantage, reduced traffic congestion. If more people use public transport, our roads become less crowded, leading to smoother rides for everyone.
But alas, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Time for the disadvantages. Numero uno, unpredictability. Buses and trains can sometimes be late, especially when you're running on time for once.
Oh, the irony. Disadvantage number 2, limited coverage. Public transport might not cover every area, especially remote locations.
Then there's disadvantage number 3, overcrowding. Ever been on a bus during rush hour? It's like being in a can of human sardines.
That's a comprehensive list, Leo. Public transport has its merits and demerits, but it's essential for our urban landscapes. It's all about what works best for the individual.
Absolutely, Gwen. And hey, if you ever find yourself on an overcrowded bus, just think of it as a chance to make some new friends, or at least learn about the latest perfume trends.
Well, that's all for today's episode. We hope you enjoyed our chat about public transport and maybe even had a laugh or two.
Yes, and we look forward to discussing more everyday topics with you. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, please let us know.
Environmentally friendly. Good for the environment, not harmful. Example, using reusable bags instead of plastic ones is environmentally friendly. Carbon emissions. Carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere, usually by vehicles and factories. Example, to reduce carbon emissions, many people are choosing electric cars. Cost-effective. Providing good value, not too expensive for what is received. Example, buying in bulk is often more cost-effective than buying single items. Congestion. Being overcrowded, especially with traffic. Example, city centers often face traffic congestion during rush hours. Unpredictability. The quality of being difficult to guess or forecast. Example, the unpredictability of the weather made it hard to plan outdoor events. According to the conversation, what are some of the advantages of using public transport? Some advantages mentioned include being environmentally friendly, cost-effective, safer, providing increased free time, and reducing traffic congestion.
What are some of the disadvantages of public transport as discussed by Gwen and Leo? Some disadvantages they mentioned include unpredictability, limited coverage or areas serviced, and overcrowding during peak times.